Hello everyone, I am back from my trip and I am ready to get back into what you guys have been up to the last 24 hours or so. So I wanted to start here with Louise. Louise had a very nice post, a nice update here. So I totally agree with you in what you were saying in that I think it's done us a lot of good to move this candle off screen here and bring in some light from off the world and off camera into our world. It really expands things a little bit, makes things feel bigger overall. A few updates here I would like to see. And when you mentioned that the cooker is a little bit too dark, let's not worry about that for now. We wanted that to be dark back there so we can have some of these foreground elements starting to move forward. And with that in mind, I actually think that we can push this area just a little bit more forward by even making this brighter. Let's put this up in here because these garlic cloves we noticed in the last one really take to shaping nicely and really can really look nice. So let's go ahead and take away this, make this a little bigger, just so we can kind of see what this looks like with the a little mock-up of the light over dark. So with the garlic cloves this bright from this candle, I think it really does make a nice big difference. Now I know, and this is one of those things that that garlic clove from that candle, it would never work out that way, right? It would never be that bright from that distance, but we can kind of push and pull that a little bit. Like this is where our painterly approach as lighting artists start to take place, where we can push things just a little bit more. That I don't think that falls really outside the realm of believability, but it really pops forward, creates dimension in our space, and allows the world to kind of fall into line a little bit more. A few other things I would do here. Number one, I think that the candlelight's looking really nice. The glows are looking really nice. Again, the transmittance into the candle is good. I just think we can push it a little bit away from the yellows and a little bit more towards the reds. So if we pushed it like that just a little bit, just to get a little bit more of the orangey glow, and it's like a little bit more variation because right now it's pretty much like a solid yellow that's coming through, and I would like to see a little bit more reds pushed in there. And then additionally, I would like to create us a balance between what we're seeing inside the space and what we're seeing outside the space. And what I mean by that is, I guess not a balance, but a contrast between the two. I would like to keep the warmer tones inside and the cooler tones outside. And as you can see in your outside window right now, we've got a little strip of red or magenta. And what I would like to do is just to take that away so that, let me make sure it's in the red, might be in the reds too. Let's take that away. And now we are seeing, so you can kind of see. Now what we want to do is keep all the warm tones inside and keep all those cool tones outside. So anything we're seeing outside the window is cool, everything inside is warm. And lastly, the last thing that I would do is, we've talked about this plant right here. You're getting good shaping. I really like this, the vertical variation in the amount of illumination we're seeing. We're really feeling that's up underneath candlelight. But what we're missing is it's only getting diffuse light at this point. And the way that you're getting some nice variation in the specular values here on the table, we need to see some of that in there. Because foliage and leaves especially do get they're specky on their curves, especially because they're waxy and they just have a little bit of sheen to them. And it's really nice when we're able to get that, because that means that we're seeing more fine shaping in them. So it's not just this overall grow shape, which you're getting with the diffuse. We're getting very fine stuff. So it would be nice to increase the specular value on the plant itself, because obviously you're getting some specular value from the lights. I just would like to see a little bit more in there on the plant itself. But other than that, I think this is falling together really well. I think that from where you've started with this, it's really blossoming nicely. And so I just encourage you to keep going and keep moving and building from there. Next up, we have Vedat's post. And you guys had some really great comments, Calabaza. And by the way, if I mispronounce anyone's name, I truly, truly apologize. I want to meet all of you in person or over these sessions so I can talk to you and actually hear how you pronounce your own name so that I can pronounce them correctly. Okay, Vedat and Calabaza. I think that you guys were, Vedat, this is a great start. This is a really nice place to start from. Calabaza, you had some really, really great points about reading the reference, and I thought the Legos are a little glowy. I don't want to get too much into the nitty-gritty of the detail quite yet, because we're still kind of blocking it out, but all of your points are extremely valid. And it's cool to even see when we're just bringing in some outside light, like some simple shaping like you're talking about, like the shaping on the rim of the character, and it can start to inspire things a little bit. In terms of Jesse's comments, I think Jesse had some really excellent points. Totally true that we've got something we have to deal with here with this intersecting line, or the kind of the tangent between the head and the shape back behind it. It's kind of a composition thing we need to figure out. We need to problem solve that. Additionally, we need to work on how we're going to block this out, how we're going to compose this to get the character to be light over the dark or dark over light, or we're just not really sure how we're going to work things out. So I really like the Monsters Inc. reference that you included. I'm assuming this is Monsters Inc., which, by the way, was in, 15, 20, 17 years ago-ish, I think. I don't know. I forget what year it came out. But, like, they didn't have the computing power when they were working on this that we do, like, on the cell phones in our pockets. And they were really able to do some cool stuff. So I just want to take a look at this image real quick, just to kind of talk about a few things. Like this transmittent look on the blinds was really, really difficult to do back then. You can see lots of bounce light, lots of secondary illumination. All of that was hand placed with lights. There's no indirect illumination or radiosity or anything like that at this point, or global illumination or any of that stuff. These are all just secondary bounce lights kind of set around to create this really nice shaping. As Jesse pointed out, loving these darks over lights to get all of these hands to read, because that's like such an important part of this character. That's one of his or her unique characteristics, is it has 4 arms. Also, just like the specular values into getting all these jacks to read in there, because that's an important one. The value of the teeth to getting them to pop, and then just, if I remember right, this is in the scare floor when they're like testing stuff, or when they're in training, and like this amount of spotlight, it feels extra bright for what you would see during the nighttime, so it feels a little stagey, and I think that's cool. One thing about that I noticed is that we're not actually seeing, like, we're getting some sharp shadows from this skateboard and from the character, but we're not actually seeing too many sharp shadows, or really any shadows at all, from the windows being cast on the ground. I think that was artistically designed because I think it was just kind of creating too much, it might have created too much clutter in this region here, and it was probably better just to kind of keep it open. So sometimes physically accurate leads to compositional issues, so it's sometimes better just to leave that stuff. Okay, but to go back to your image, now there's a couple things that we can do here. And I think what you've done is great so far, because again, we're blocking it out, we're exploring the space, we're trying to take a look at how these sconce lights around the room will help us build our composition, and I think that you're in the right place right now. But I think we need to, like I said, make some decisions. So there's a couple things that we can do to get the character to read. The first is that what we just saw in Louise's is he was doing things like keeping all the warm colors inside and the cool colors outside, and I think that might be an excellent choice here. So we've got these, we can make these more flattering skin tone colors by making them warmer lights that cast warm light on the character here. And not only can we do it from these two, because these two are behind him, so they would just cast a little bit of a rim on the baby, but we can also do it from off camera as well, and position some sconces up here and shining in and getting some shaping on the baby's face, or coming in from this side too, either or these doors are closed. I was gonna say, or there's light coming in from this way, like if we opened up this door and had some light shining in there and had the baby running through that could be an option. We could also do, it's basically just doing a couple of different things that way. We can still do light over dark or dark over light. I would recommend, since we already did a dark over light kind of with the last one, that we would try playing around with some light over dark. The biggest thing that I want to do here that we didn't necessarily explore with the last one was to generate some depth of field, either through a Z-depth or in-camera blur, depending on how you're rendering this. And it would basically be, because right now, as Jesse said, we've got this hard shape intersecting the character's head, like falling right behind him here. So what we want to do is we want to blur that out a little bit. That would be one way of helping the problem. With the way that the camera is composed right now, we can get a little bit of depth of field and it would feel fine. But ideally, either the baby would be closer, we have a more telephoto lens that's zoomed in a little more, and that would create some more depth of field and more blurriness behind him. Either way, we need to generate some sort of blurriness back there to break up this shape so it's more a mush a little bit. Like it's not these hard lines. So yeah, so I would start playing with that. Maybe start building that or looking for reference of how you get just some like. So we're just gonna have basically four. You have an option of kind of, if you choose to do it this way. I'm not saying you absolutely have to. If you want to keep playing and do it something totally different, that's totally fine. Or if anybody else has any ideas, please let us know. But you're basically gonna have 4 opportunities, and the 2 lights back behind and the 2 lights off camera coming in this way. To generate some light on this character, and you can play with their intensities to get that to work, and create shaping on the character really however you want. So play with that, give that a try, and then we'll like, we can look into details later. We'll talk about more character shaping stuff and like how these lights specifically are going to look. We'll look at reference there and that kind of thing. But I think this is a good structural start to where we need to go. Overall, guys, I'm obviously very happy with the way everything's going. Really loving your guys' comments, the way that you're working with each other. It makes us so happy and so proud. We'll keep doing these videos because I think they're going well. And if you have any questions, please, as always, post to the Facebook group. Jasmine and I are checking it daily, and we will be happy to continue updating. So keep going, keep lighting, and we can't wait to see what you do next.